technology is now firmly established as an essential driver of growth, profitability, and competitive advantage. By 2030, it's estimated that AI is going to contribute to at least 20% of retail GDP in this region. We have a very esteemed panel here today, bringing us a variety of perspectives to discuss how this change is taking shape, bite by bite. I'll turn to my right and request my panelists to please kindly introduce themselves. Robin, do you want to start?
Hello, everybody. I am Robin Nagar, and I am the voice of the thousands of farmers that are based out of the Himalayan state of Uttarakhand, and our brand is called Valley Culture. Our main motive is to bring the best producers from the Himalayas beyond the state and beyond the country to reach to all of your homes, and that's what we've been doing.
My name is Rishikesh Datar. I work for Aladil. We're a 100% vegetarian Indian foodstuff company. We import over 9,000 Indian items and have been serving the Indian expat community in the GCC for the past 40 years. Not only do we have a solid Indian expat population shopping from us, but we also have people from other Asian countries as well, such as Pakistan and Bangladesh. And this is something I've recently realized, is that we also have a modest number of local customers working with us as well. We are also present in wholesale as well, duty-free and Dubai duty-free, and the Jumeirah group buys from us. So I'm really looking forward to sharing my input today.
So as mentioned, my name is Ahmed. I come with heavy experience in FMCG and tech. I spent my career between FMCG multinationals and tech giants like Microsoft. Now I'm general partner for Homegrown Ventures. Homegrown Ventures is the first firm in the region to be investing and accelerating FMCG startups. So we believe the FMCG area is quite an exciting one. We believe there's a lot of startups coming out in the region that requires attention and support. So we invest in them, we nurture them, we coach them, and we help them grow.
Homegrown Ventures is also collaborating with Images Retail to launch a startup conclave very shortly. Emma, do you want to speak about that briefly?
Yes, absolutely. I think this is an exciting one. There's a lot of beautiful events happening in Dubai for different levels of retailers and companies, but there is none for the startup ecosystem. So we are engaging with the retail Middle East to have a dedicated startup conclave that will be announcing towards October, where we will allow the startups within the region to come and showcase their products, connect with the retail decision makers to help them have the visibility and the connection to their consumers. So we'll share more on that.
Thank you, Ahmed. Umesh?
Yeah. Hi, this is Umesh Chopra. I represent Sharjah Co-op. We are one of the oldest co-op in the country, established back in 1977. We are market leaders in Sharjah, with more than 68 stores and online presence and different kind of omnichannel experience for the customers. And it's lovely to be part of this panel. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. We are missing out on Sadiq, who should join us shortly from another panel over. We'll hear from him soon. So we have a variety of perspectives from this panel today, different business models between organized retail, startup ecosystem, FMCG, etc. What are the proven technologies in your different business models that you have already seen as contributing to your success? Sadiq is here. Sorry. Thanks for joining us, Sadiq. Yeah. We were just doing introductions. Do you want to quickly introduce yourselves?
Yeah. Sorry, I was jumping from another panel to here. So, yeah. Retail GPT is here to change the way retail is going to function in the future. So I'm founder of Retail GPT, come with a long experience with, have been in retail all my life, and happy to share a few insights depending upon how the conversation goes. And we'll get to know each other better.
Thanks, Sadiq. Sadiq is an important ingredient of this panel discussion. He brings the tech to the conversation. So maybe, Sadiq, we can start with you in terms of perspectives on what are some of the proven technologies which have establish themselves as adding value to business when it comes to retail business models?
Well, retail has evolved with primarily technology as a backbone. Pretty much everything that we know today is tried and tested, but what is yet to be explored is ocean, because the level at which the retailers know their customers is still less than 1%, because retailers are busy selling products. They need to connect with their customers, so discover their customers, know them. So technology is going to help them heavily in discovering their customers, not just the names and phone numbers per se, but to know what's their buying pattern, how much they spend in the category, and what is the frequency, and how often they come in, what do they prefer, and more important is their wallet size. So knowledge about this is not there in retail today. So technology is going to help heavily in understanding these elements of retail. The way online e-commerce has evolved and the way brick and mortar stores are evolving, there needs to be a connect between these two. So the future of retail is phygital, where every brick and mortar store will actually become the fulfillment point for its neighborhood catchment. So the way how phygitally transformation is going to happen for a brick and mortar store is what we are going to witness in the future now.
Thanks, Sadiq.
Yeah, just to add on, I think you started the conversation in the right way, that it's an ocean yet to be explored. We often say, reality is different than expectation. In AI space, data space, and machine learning space, we don't even have the expectation. I mean, from a business point of view, as well as customer point of view, we haven't articulated that expectation. So the reality is what we see right now, we are very proud of, okay, we have done demand-based modeling, we have gone into a supply chain optimization, we have used analytics to understand the customer in a right manner and trying to personalize the experience. Yes, it is good. It has taken retail from just selling goods to knowing their customers well, but that connect is far, far more than what we are expecting right now. The data privacy, for that matter, customers are sharing that information, but to what extent they will be okay to share that information. And then when that information becomes scarce, what will retailers do? So yes, it's a lot to be explored, and I think we are, all of us are in this together, and we are learning as the time is going by.
So the thing is that he's right. As retail is majorly a visual game when it comes to customers. People come in, they buy their products, and something that retail industry strives for is stability, and obviously stability of supply. And so the thing is, whenever there is any innovation that is going to take place, it's going to take place in the back end first. So we are exploring the option of having an AI technology, lay out make the layout of the store, or optimize our planogram software. That is something that we're currently looking into. It's going to be more present in the back end. Tech industry is something such as YouTube or Google, whoever. The innovation is what draws customers to them. But for retail, it's mostly stability. So you won't see it now. You'll see it much more further down in the future, maybe 5, 10 years in the future.
Thanks, Rishikesh. Ahmed, you want to speak about this ecosystem, the startup ecosystem?
Sure, definitely. So one thing that we're seeing, a common area across startups, is the whole demand creation element with the whole digital landscape is becoming way more complex, way more costly. So when you work with an established FMCG, you can't decide that, okay, I'm going to have a spending of around 10% as a marketing to keep the ball rolling. But when you are in a startup, the formula is very different. And in today's ecosystem, it's becoming way more complex. We are moving from above the line, below the line marketing towards digital marketing. And then you break it down. You have the Meta, you have the Google, you have the quick commerce platforms that you need to activate on. And to allow these startups to be able to manage their budget spending in a smart way, at the same time get the maximum of it, they need to adopt tools from different CRM, content management, as well as AI tools that allows machine learning. in a way that your messagings are evolving based on the consumer demand and how is his habits and how is he reacting to your post. So with each post, you get an improvement that captures more clicks and more purchases. Then you're able to roll out these messages and marketing plans across platforms while retaining a clear and consistent message that protects your brand and brand assets. So I think there's a lot of more development to come on this.
Thanks, Ahmed. Robin, you want to share your experience on the back end, the supply chain ecosystem?
Sure. But also as a startup and as a brand, like if you consider Valley Culture, it's a Himalayan brand. So to me and to the brand, control of the brand and the brand experience is really important, which I'm able to give through our digital platforms, which is D2C and all other omni-channels. But the moment you reach a store, a physical store, the first thing we lose is control of our brand, because then we are just one of the other brands that is just kept on the shelf. I believe if we are able to create a system and master the same experience of the brand at a retail store, just like Sadiq sir said, that future is phygital. So the same kind of control and experience of the brand in a retail store of a brand, which resonates with your consumer, should be something that we focus on.
Thanks, Robin. You spoke about that the ocean is out there and we've barely scratched the surface and haven't even started shaping the aspiration yet, while you spoke about what is on the shelf is what's important. But how fast do you think food and grocery retailers are adopting technology, and what could be the aspiration for grocery retail?
Who's first?
You can go first.
I think the number one aspiration for a grocery retailer is to get to know the buying habits of their customers and to be able to serve them even if they are not in a position to come to the store, have a digital fulfillment history, arrangement where do they digitally deliver the orders, and how do we expand the wallet size. There is a behavior, the number one thing which is masked today for a retailer is, I know a customer spends X amount of money every time he comes to my store, but then I do not know how much more money he's spending on this elsewhere. So there is always an opportunity to know the customer better so that they have to serve them better, what categories I can add to the spend behavior of the customers. And I think the stickiness comes in by creating the experience, making it even more compelling. Groceries is a price-sensitive market. We know how different grocers have different strategies to create customer stickiness. So with technology, with the ability to understand the customer's behavior, you can do extremely well.
Yeah. Adding some points from coming from the grocery background and knowing the real time what is happening. See, as a grocer, we are not a tech-first company. We were always a retailer first. And tech came to us in a hindsight, especially after Corona, it was pushed. And I'm not talking about opening an e-commerce arm or something. I'm talking about making the customer digital savvy. So one of the example like we have in our portfolio is called as MobiCoop. So it is a supermarket on bus. So we realize that many a time people don't want to come to the store, but they still want to have an experience of feeling the products, fresh product, non-fresh product, etc. So we have launched this, okay, a bus will come to you at a time when you choose on the app. So that's a kind of a different experience we're talking about. That's what we aspire towards, that what customer wants, can we use technology to fulfill that? Second aspiration, I think it is very crucial to us because we have been working with erstwhile systems in place. And with the modernization or the technological advancement coming in, all those systems have to integrate and talk to each other. And that is becoming more and more difficult because of the host amount of ecosystems available in the market. Again, since we are not a tech-driven company, we haven't developed these systems in-house. So we always have to choose between what we can develop versus what we can purchase from outside. Whenever we purchase, we add another layer to the whole ecosystem. I think these two aspirations, if we are able to solve, then we will be in a much better space.
Thanks, Umesh.
So to add on what Sadiq sir said, he said that right now we are, it's an ocean out there and we've barely scratched the surface. Because of that, so AI in general or tech in general is the supply of people specialized in this industry is quite low. And as you mentioned that, retail is a price game, right? We got to make sure that our prices stay competitive all the time. So because of that, obviously salary being one of the biggest fixed costs, it's something that is hindering retailers to adapt to new technology. I think once it's more mature, further down the line, when the labor supply is a little more and specialization is much, much easier to come across, that's when you will see, AI and all these new tech being implemented in retail. Also, as a retailer, one more thing hesitates me. So I want to, I'm sorry, your name? Umesh, yeah. So what Umesh said that, customers prefer going and checking out and feeling the product. So I want to add something on that too. Basically, I want my customer to be in my store as long as possible, right? So retailers, the hidden secret, I would say, about retailers is that we shoot for impulse sales, right? And if a person's doing it online, it's very hard to appeal to that want. So the best way to do that is to encourage footfall, right? So I think because of that, obviously, prices in the retail space will be much more cheaper compared to the online space. So yeah, that's my 2 cents, literally.
Thanks, Rishikesh. Ahmed, you want to add in terms of what would be aspiration in terms of what could technology do to enhance startups, the pace at which they scale, the kind of markets they can access, the kind of customers they can allure to, the kind of brand they can build for themselves?
That's an interesting one. So we already see technology changing the retail landscape, right? And this is something that's quite visible. Few years back, and maybe before the COVID, physical retail was the main thing. That's where you get your product from and so on. Today, we're looking at quick commerce and e-commerce responsible for more than 20% of the grocery volume in the region. So it's already changing the ballgame. It's already changing the retail landscape, which means now brands are having this amazing opportunity to reach consumers directly. Right? So before they had to be available physically in the stores to be able to reach the consumer. Today, they go direct, either their own website directly to consumer or via aggregators or e-commerce. And that's the beauty of it. So it's already changing the way brands are evolving, already making it way shorter to reach consumer. I think it will continue to scale up in that direction. And I believe with the digital marketing from the other side, it will be easier to communicate to consumers. We're just hoping that it becomes less complex versus what it is today with all the different platforms and all the different ways you need to reach. Yeah.
Having control over the brand is something, Robin, you also spoke about earlier in terms of where tech will continue to be a strong pillar of business. You also want to share a little bit about how tech enables you to build your supplier ecosystem, enable the supplier ecosystem, enhance traceability in a business like yours.
Sure. So initially when we started, especially in the region that we are, that's the Himalayan region, the biggest issues that people have faced before us and we were facing also was the logistics, was prediction of the harvest because, the system is so volatile there. So to understand and get a hold on the, the produce itself, what we did was we also created a, through tech-based, we created a channel where we can predict the harvest. We can also predict the kind of purchases that our consumers have taken in the last 1 year, and then accordingly, have our storage and space. So, and traceability, like I spoke earlier, traceability for a FMCG brand is really important in today's world because people want to know where the food is coming from, who is growing it, and how is it different from what they're already consuming. So that's what we've been focusing on till date, and it also helps us connect with the consumer better. So I'll tell you a story. Initially when we started, we had a very small amount of consumer base. So what we used to do is that every order, I used to chat with them personally, every time they order. So there was this particular message we used to send, like, Namaste and welcome to Valley Culture. I'm Robin, happy to assist. So after a few months, when I actually met a consumer, they actually thought Robin is the name of the chatbot. So they were like, oh, you are Robin, you're a real person, right? So what we eventually did when we grew our consumer base was we named our chatbot as Robin. So today, when most of the consumers are still talking, they think they're talking to me. Whereas that's not the case. So that's how technology has kind of helped us. It also saves a lot of time overall because it's very convenient to reach out to 50 or 100 consumers. But when you have 5,000, 10,000 consumers, you can't do that all on your own. So that's what I think, it makes it more convenient.
Thanks for the story, Robin. Very interesting indeed. The journey from where we are today to the aspiration that you've all spoken about definitely has to go through its own hoops of whether it is really flowing into the bottom line, whether there is ROI, etc. What's the proof of the pudding, right? Sadiq has spoken about customer wallet, about whether how much are they really buying from you versus others, etc. These are some of the early indicators usually to give you confidence in technologies. What are some other KPIs that you've started looking at in your business to give you a sense of technologies that are really meaningful to the business?
I think the consumerism is something, again, it is a very open subject. Today, people consume stories, the emotion that goes with the product. So the problem is we're not able to personalize. The same story is not received the same way with everybody. Technology can be an enabler in ensuring the right content goes to the right consumer, promoting the products in a subtle way. So that piece is missing completely today. So we just say product, 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 but then, for example, if I would say, if you say the shoes market, for example, take an example of a country like India, the lowest per capita consumption of shoes is that because the moment I speak about what to wear in a party, what is a moccasin, what is an Oxford shoe, that knowledge when it is told that to the consumers, imagine the impact will happen on the sales of the product. So that piece on content is completely missing. So that element, I just did an example, this applies to anything that you do. So that consumerism is a great potential, and only with AI and with the way you can personalize. So the way I look at it will be different from the way Umesh will look at it. So AI will know what to talk to me and what to talk to him. So the ability to scale, personalize, and share content to that scale is going to be a game changer. That's what I see is what the future holds for.
Thanks, Adi.
Yeah, I think very well said. And when we are setting up KPIs, it has to be very well separated from a financial KPIs to a consumer-led KPIs. The beauty of data, or the beauty of analytics, or beauty of AI, whatever you want to call is that unlike other avenues wherein we used to check ROIs, the ROIs were always delayed. With data, because it is the data itself, your ROIs are very instant. So if I'm investing in a technology and I do a POC of the technology, I can get to know from the day one what are the kind of ROIs am I getting. And the ROIs can be as simple as increasing the customer average basket, or increasing their NPS scores, or it can be customer retention. At the end, the KPIs will remain same, but the data can give us an advantage that those KPIs can be evaluated in a much faster way. Another KPI which we should not miss out is knowing whether customer likeliness towards the brand is going up or not. I think, again, I'm talking about the traditional KPIs, but it has a much more important role to play in the data space. Why? Because as Rohan was mentioning, if you are introducing a chatbot, whether that chatbot is human enough for the liking in terms of my brand reputation. If I'm introducing an OpenAI-based sales advisor, is that sales advisor similar to the one when I go to the shop floor and do my purchase? So people still need that human element, and that's where your brand reputation matters the most when it comes to application of data, especially on the consumer side of the business. When it comes to the internal side, your financial KPIs hold true. So if I'm putting something from a data-led exercise for a supply chain optimization, then or an automatic order kind of stuff, then of course my return on investments are evaluated from the perspective why my service levels have improved, whether I'm able to close a particular problem in a much faster manner. So those KPIs are same.
I think now with AI and tech, there's so many solutions, so many options out there that will be pushed heavily to corporates and companies, and different functions within the companies would like to pull those solutions, right? So we need to break down what are we looking at and what are the KPIs we need to monitor. And because it's changing the way of work, because it's changing the behavior we have in the company, the first set of KPIs I look at is the adoption rate. So I have a new solution in place, I have a new system in place. Is it being used? Are the employees using it? Are the departments using it or not? Because if they're not, doesn't matter. All the KPIs will be red, right? So first we start with the deployment. Is it being deployed, used or not? Then the second level, we'll be looking at what was the promise. Was it to bring more customers, to retain more clients, to reduce the cost? And that will be the second level of KPIs. We look at it based on the promise. How are we moving? And the final one, which is super important for any GM or business owner here, is the P&L. How does it impact the P&L, right? Is it improving the cost, improving the revenue, or on the contrary, it's having a negative impact on the whole P&L of the company, which is, end of the day, the ultimate KPI, if you want to call it.
Thanks, Aman. Now, looking at, you've all had some experiences in actually trying to implement certain tools and systems across different functions in your businesses. What are some of the barriers or challenges that you faced and you think are going to be key to solve in order to continue this drive of technology adoption?
All right, so I would speak about two. The first one is having the right people in place to be able to understand the business and the tech required for the business, right? So let's pick on HR, the favorite department for everyone. You cannot have the HR manager selecting the software. That doesn't work, right? So you need to have someone who's expert with IT tech and understand the business requirement to be able to filter and select. That's the first element, having the right people behind the project that you're managing. The second element is assessing the full cost of the solution you're putting in place, right? We're talking about tech solution. That means there's a front cost, right? They're going to put, there is a project cost, deployment cost, and there is a maintenance cost after that. So you need to assess the full cost of the project so that you're able later on to measure it as an ROI on the business. So I'll stop at those two.
So I actually have a completely different approach to this. So I think I see a lot of many Hindi speakers over here. So in India, we have this saying, "Chalti ka naam gaadi," right? So in general, the company culture is something that promotes, repetitive tasks, and people, because they do those repetitive tasks, they don't have that need or want for, change. And I think this is somewhere where I'm going to be disagreeing with you a little bit. Is I don't think you should look at it with data or facts and numbers. You got to change the company culture as a whole to actually want innovation or change or something eager, something you're eager to work on, or just a way to completely to at least help yourself improve. That is something that if you implement these type of this type of an upgrade, is going to be much more beneficial to you and it's going to be much easier to implement all these new systems and new technologies that are out there.
Thanks, Rishikesh. Umesh, you want to
share? See, the challenges are always there whenever you're trying to implement some new things. With data, the challenge, I spoke about it in the earlier conversation, is the integration. So we are sitting on so many different kinds of systems. Our POS systems are separate, our ERP systems are separate, our customer systems are separate. So each system has to talk to each other. So the silos have to be, not owned by one team, one person. It has to be something, to your point, owned by everyone. And once all the silos are owned by everyone and everybody wants to share that information together, that's where the challenge can overcome. In our organization, we have this policy of data democratization. That means each one of us has access to as much data as they can, and they should prove to the point that they are using that data for the betterment of what they are doing in the day-to-day life. So any project, if you're taking to a top management, you need to make sure that that is backed by some or the other data. So the basics of, we are not talking about machine learning, we're not talking about AI. You should not have a feeling that you are speaking something out of a gut, but you have some backing of using some kind of information. I think that's a challenge and a solution to the whole situation.
Thanks, Umesh. Robin, you want to add?
So our brand Valley Culture, in fact, was created on the base of a lot of challenges. Because if you notice, Valley Culture's main producers are farmers that are based in remote locations. And to actually find any kind of tech there is the biggest challenge. To be able to reach out to them, to understand. I mean, data is always available, but to interpret that data becomes so difficult because a farmer doesn't have a phone. He might not have network connectivity, but we have to connect to him on a daily basis and see what kind of produce he has. So the challenge was to, first of all, find a kind of technology where we can connect to these people and then interpret that data and then make it for our use. Our farmers don't really have their phones and WhatsApp available. So what we did was we tried to create a voice or a speech to text-based model, where if he's recording a voice note of what he has available on a daily basis, at what quality and what costing, to us it comes as a text-based message, so we understand what's available. And to do that with 5,000 farmers on a daily basis is a task in itself. So these are the biggest challenge that we faced, and through the text, voice to text base, it's made it very easier for us to keep them connected, to keep the data interpretation easy, and then to obviously cater to the consumer at the end of the day. So that's what we do.
Thanks, Robin. Sadiq, you might have a different perspective when you look at application of your technologies.
Yes, of course. The biggest challenge which we have seen is the mindset, let's say this is my data, and then I need to confine within the limits of my ecosystem, etc. So the future belongs to coalition, collaboration, and with collaboration and coalition, what comes is the power of information is exponential at a very low cost. So that this mindset, when it shifts, I mean, we all have seen before the cloud became the norm, which is today, there was a struggle. People were not willing to move on the cloud. There was a resistance. They say, "Kya ho jayega? Data is there. What will happen? Who will have access to it?" But today, it's the norm. So the day that mindset shifts from getting into coalition model, from owning it, of course, within the compliances of data security, who has to access what, but a coalition is the way to grow, because that's what will make the project sustainable, because the ecosystems which new tech requires are quite expensive. So one brand, if he has to, for example, implement an AI system, it's not happening. He has to be a conglomerate to do that. So, but then when you go into a coalition model where you collaborate and you define your ownership levels or your access levels, then it's viable. And that's what is the solution even for the smallest entity in the retail space to adapt and grow using the tech and see the potential of its growth coming from this pattern.
Thanks, Sadiq. Thanks, everyone, for sharing your perspectives. Just to summarize very quickly, when it comes to the aspiration of what AI, data, technology can do for your business, of course, sky is the limit. But there are, of course, some strong pillars that we've just heard from our panelists, where definitely technology is going to add significant value, whether it's about knowing your customer, whether it's about establishing your brand promise, traceability and control over your supply chain, ensuring your customer gets a variety of experiences, all of those things.
But key, of course, is to make sure how you can jump through the barriers of technology adoption, whether it's about people and culture, or integration of systems, democratization of access to data, access to systems, access to technology as a whole, or collaboration, as Sadiq just spoke about. Any final words in terms of what you would like the audience to take away from the session today?
Well, I think adaptation of tech and embracing in the right sense. And as a consumer, I am spoiled for choices, but then I do not want to delve into multiple assets, if there is a collaborative platform where I can question and get my answers to access brands, access the merchandise that I'm after, access offers, I think I would love to do that.
I mean, I'm a marketer by heart, and I say the pillars of marketing, your awareness to consideration to loyalty will always remain. Data is just fastening the process on how an awareness is changing to loyalty, and that loyalty can anytime just go away. So we all have to understand that we need to use the data in a much faster manner, and it's not limited to a certain set of business. It has to be across the business, and that's where if we move fast enough as a business as well as a customer, that would be a key to a success for every one of us.
I think just to add a little bit, technology is coming and it's accelerating way faster versus the years we grow up in, right? So what happened in the last 2 years, maybe it's as fast as what happened in the last 20 years. And it will continue to do that. It has an impact on the way we do business. It has an impact on how the consumer behavior and consumption is changing. And to be able to catch that, you have to adopt the technology, you have to be able to re-innovate and be able to capture the consumer changing habits and all the changing services behind it. So I think adaptability, agility, innovation, it's going to be a must, no longer something nice to have.
I'm going to set this one out. You can take my spot, Robin. You share killer stories anyway.
One last story, Robin.
See, I know tech always plays its role. It helps us with a lot of data and understanding. But I think tech is only used to help us in the mundane things and to give us convenience. And at the end of it all, to better connect with our consumer, human connect will always prevail.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing all your perspectives. And I'm sure the audience has gained a lot of great insights from our discussion today.